Hey guys, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this thing called networking. I know some people have got challenges with networking, but I'll fall back on Andrew Sobel's basic strategy, which is about starting off with connection, learning how to make yourself relevant, and then establish resonance in order to build impact. Now, this is a very easily misunderstood model because firstly, in order to make a connection, you need to understand whom you're connecting with. So for example, if you head down to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, take a look at people and attempt to just reach out and email them, it's very difficult to do so unless you know why you're connecting with them. So you want to connect. It's actually a very simple thing. You meet people, you talk to them, you establish rapport. In neuro-linguistic programming, a very simple way to establish a connection is first to match the physical posture. So if someone is sitting this way, you're also going to sit in a similar way. Just be mindful that you're not resonating with emotions that are incompatible with establishing a new relationship. So someone might be like that. You don't want to go like that and try to amplify the same thing because just as in any band or orchestra, if you're both playing the same note, that note actually amplifies. So be very mindful of that. You don't want to amplify a bad state. Connection is really about starting off with physiological connection. So you are resonating at the same frequencies physically, you're breathing in the same rate, you're having the same kinds of emotional expressions, similar gestures, and so on, which is not mimicking. If you are mimicking, it means that you're being too exact and it looks very awkward. Instead, when you are in a state of liking, science has shown that you tend to have similar movements and gestures with other people anyway. So test that out. If there's someone who's new, sit in a similar posture. Right? They might be upright like this. You don't have to be exactly like that. You can be upright but leaning back, for example. If they're nodding the head at a particular pace, instead of nodding your head at the same pace, which might look a little bit awkward at sometimes, you might want to tap your finger on your chin, right, at that pace, for example, or some kind of movement that is similar but not exact. So beyond that, that's the connection piece, by the way, connecting with them by being very observant, observing their breathing rates and all that. Those are going to be critical. The next thing would be to establish some kind of relevance. So I've connected with you, so what? I know you, we feel comfortable, what's next? Now, this is where a little bit of research wouldn't harm. In fact, what is relevant is I've been to some networking sessions. These people meet me, they say hi, and then after about half an hour, the guy comes back and says, hey, I didn't realize you're the guy who wrote the book Secrets of Internet Millionaires. That was a damn good book. And, we have a little bit more relevant stuff to talk about as a result of that. So think about connection as the initial touch point. Then you go down that funnel, you have a little bit more of a deepening of that connection, because there's more relevance. I was in an event and one of my good friends who was hosting it was kind of incognito, so nobody really knew who he was until such a point of time where another person came up and said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know who you were. Please accept my apologies. And he said, it's okay. Now, this is where people start doing research on you. And this is important because you're going to have your brand, your profile, your contact details or any other kind of brand element out there on the internet. People are going to search it and they're going to find it. So in order for you to be able to do that and do that well, just make sure that you're findable. And of course, other people who are a little bit more prominent might be findable too. So in order for you to establish relevance, read through their profiles, study their LinkedIn profile, study their social media, what they talk about, and that's where you can find more relevance. Listen to some of their pains. They might be recently posting about maybe an employee issue. And guess what? You can go read up on employee issues and then present to them your point of view. And maybe that's where you can both synergize. Right? So don't go into a formal meeting without being prepared. I find a lot of people are too light on this and therefore they don't do their research, and as a result of that they walk away without the right kinds of outcomes. So if you were to do a connection online, read up on them, and instead of saying, so what do? You should be beyond that. You should be saying like, oh, I think I know what you do. Is this, you're doing this and you tend to have these kinds of challenges, am I right? And if that's the case, then you are going to be able to utilize that information to let them know that you've been hardworking at getting to know them. That's probably one of the places where they are going to go like, wow, okay, I'm impressed. You actually did your homework, which is good. So based on that, the ability for you to do your homework is therefore going to help you to resonate with their problems. So resonance is less of just like amplifying connection, but really resonating with your pains, your desires, and your dreams. So there are two parts to it. One is fear, the other one is aspiration. So if you dive deep into, let's say, Fortune 100 company CEOs' fears and dreams, and you sit down and you say, you know what, you work for this particular company, right? And you've been there for the last 20 years. That's amazing. That's fantastic. And I noticed in your last annual report, you encountered this particular main problem, which, by the way, I happen to have quite a lot of experience in. I think this is the solution. Now, the moment you come from that area of strength, you're talking to this person like a peer. You're not just trying to kowtow to that person anymore. So what happens is the research helps you to be relevant, helps that relationship to be relevant, and then when you resonate with either the pains or aspirations or dreams, it allows others to go like, wow, you can make an impact. And then they invite you, oh wow, I didn't realize you could do that. Fantastic, let's have another conversation. Or you can say, does that make sense to you? Did I miss anything? They might say, yeah, actually that's not the real issue. The real issue is X. Think about it, connect that with your own way of thinking about the world, and then you can present something else and you can say, hey, I happen to know somebody. I may not be able to solve the problem for you, but I may know somebody who can. Would you like me to hook you up for a conversation? Now, that is also about making an impact, because if you can't establish value yourself, then get your network to establish value, because it's directly associated with you. And when that happens, you also function as a resourceful person and a point of resourcefulness for people who are of influence to you. So as you continue to spiral this, you're probably going to start off with people who are not as valuable, maybe just friends, acquaintances, whom you really have no business contact. But as time goes by, you're going to unfold some of this. So there is a cadence of meeting where you want to continue to keep up with them. It could be 1 year, could be 2 years, doesn't matter. But what I find is that best friends, they can meet 10 years later and they're still kind of like best buddies in that group, because the initial connection goes a very long way. Yeah. So as long as you make effort to build that positive connection initially, then the subsequent meetings will be probably a piece of cake. I've met some really interesting people, and over the course of time, they've become close friends, not because I engineered it, but because I could give what they were willing to receive, and I'm just keeping it as that. I'll never know what will be valuable to them in the future, and I'm just gonna keep myself open so that if there is a point of impact, I want to match the impact with my strengths and my competencies so that I make it look easy, right? Likewise, I think all of you have got areas of strength where you can make things look easy. And if you are interested to, hold a discussion a little bit more, just type into comments down below and let's find out what you can do to connect, become relevant, resonate, and make an impact.